welcome to our Gold participants and listeners from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC here for Gold Learning. And we are back here for our Meet the Speaker series. And today I'm chatting with Micaela Notarangelo about her upcoming presentation with us for the Gold Lactation Online Conference. So welcome, Micaela.
Thank you, Kristen. It's very nice to be here with you.
It is so nice to be here with you, and it is so wonderful here at Gold that we can be in totally different time zones and continents even.
Yes.
And I am speaking to you here from sunny South Florida in the United States, but let me know where you are located.
I live in Lerici, which is a little town on the east-north coast of Italy, not very far from Pisa, who perhaps everybody knows because of the Leaning Tower.
The Leaning Tower, that's not so leaning anymore, right? I've heard some stories that...
Still, oh no, it's still very leaning. It's just not going to fall very soon, but it's still leaning.
It is still leaning. Well, welcome to here to our little get together and chat here at Gold from Italy. I'm so glad you were able to make it today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here too.
And you will be presenting on our Gold Lactation Online Conference. And that's just around the corner, right? Your live presentation is on April 16th, and your topic is differentiating normal newborn weight loss from breastfeeding failure, right? But before we go into the topic, and we want to talk more about that because that's such an interesting topic, and I'm so looking forward to the presentation. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background. I know you have a very interesting background. You even lived in Japan at one time, right? And you got your PhDs over there too. So let us know a little bit about you and your professional journey.
Yes, I started with a very different path of career. I studied economics, and I was in Japan to do a master and a PhD, and I lived there for 9 years. It was very interesting. However, when I came back in Europe and I had my children, I felt that I needed a change of career. Actually, the thing is that I got very much interested in breastfeeding, of course, as any mother do. I became a La Leche leader, and I got very interested in lactation. I soon discovered that it was not just breastfeeding, something that mothers do. Of course, it's that too. But there was also a scientific side to that. And that got my researcher soul to come out, and I started reading and studying, and finally I got certified as IBCLC. So when I decided to go back to work, that my children were a bit older, why not? This was the thing that I loved most and that I felt was right for me. So I started my private practice here.
How wonderful that you are sharing that with us. Thank you so much. And I see also that you have developed a 2-day course for healthcare providers, right, about breastfeeding support. Tell us a little bit about that one as well.
Okay, I usually work in private practice. I do home visits, but very close to where I live, exactly in Pisa, there's a center for cleft infants, and it's a surgical center. I got to know some mothers who had this problem and then who breastfed their children, and so I got interested in this, and I got to know the parent association that worked very closely with that hospital. It's called ISMEL, and working with them, well, there was these important needs from the families to get support for feeding their children. It was about breastfeeding, producing breast milk, but also really just feeding their babies. And there was the most important need they had was that they didn't have support. They didn't receive enough support from the hospitals. So they created this project to support families, and they created a network of IBCLC. And working with them, we accumulated a lot of experience, and we saw that one problem was what happened in the hospitals in the first day after births, because that's where both parents and infants get imprinted how to feed. And so what you do in the first day is very important for what you do afterwards. So the association came up with the idea of creating a course about feeding and breastfeeding cleft infants, and we are offering this course to hospitals, to the maternity wards, to help them normalize feeding and breastfeeding, not to think that breastfeeding is impossible for cleft infants and you don't even have to bother with it. We are trying to change this, and it's very rewarding because we get a lot of positive feedbacks, and we hope to make a difference, one baby at a time, one nurse at a time, but I hope we are doing it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this. This is wonderful work you're doing, and training healthcare providers and helping all these families and the babies. Thank you for sharing that. It's just fantastic to hear that there is an organization and there's training on that. So that makes me really happy just listening to you and hearing all the good work you're doing for that. Now, let's talk a little bit about your presentation. It's about differentiating normal newborn weight loss from breastfeeding failure. I'm a midwife, and I can tell you one of the questions I get, of course, a lot, and I think everybody who works in the field is, of course, everybody worries that their baby gets enough milk. And, this is a topic that's so important. And I would like to hear from you a little bit about what you will be presenting on.
Okay, the first thing is I work in private practice, so you may wonder why I choose this subject when I'm not in the hospital to make the decision. Well, I'll tell you more about it in my presentation, but essentially I see what comes after. And so I started thinking about what comes before, and I ended studying this subject. The most important, it's a complex subject, so I just want to tell you that the main object of this presentation is to show how to understanding weight loss is a tool to not to decide whether to give supplementation or breastfeeding. It's not one or the other. It's about supporting both breastfeeding and the infants. Is not what I want you to see is how it can be used to support both breastfeeding and the safety of the infant.
Thank you so much for letting us know a little bit about your presentation. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait for it. And your presentation will be live, as I mentioned, on April 16th. And this presentation is part of the Gold Lactation Online Conference. Thank you so much, Micaela, for sitting down here with me today and chatting about your background, about the presentation. And we're looking forward to seeing you live on April the 16th.
Thanks to you, and I'm very excited and looking forward to it.
And to our listeners, if you would like to find out more about this presentation and the other presentations in the online lactation conference here at Gold, please visit goldlactation.com. Thank you everyone for listening, and bye-bye for now.